It's the Verdant Tinkerer again. This time we're going to talk about the importance of identifying plants instead of just blanket pesticide or herbicide use. You know, a lot of people like their bright green chemlawns, but you know, you could really do more harm than you would think. Prime example is these things right here. This is actually a garlic mustard. The little white flowers are great for bees, your pollinators. It's a biannual, so it lasts 2 years. There's actually a bee on it right now. I don't know if you can see that right there. But they're edible. It's got like a light garlicky flavor if you were so inclined to eat it. This hedge actually that I'm putting in used to be a really old welded wire fence on the property line, and because I'm on such dense clay soils I had to till it up. And usually whenever you disturb the soil, you get lots of new things growing. Like for instance this right here, this was a volunteer. This is going to be either a blackberry or raspberry. It's a bramble, you can tell usually by the thorns and the sets of 3 leaves. There's another one all the way over there. I don't know if you can see from back here, but it's kind of arching over the fence. It started dying out. That's a wild raspberry. It looks like it's probably not getting enough water or something, but it was a volunteer, so if it dies I don't really care. Then in the yard you could get things like this, these little guys, wild raspberries or false raspberry. They get little things, you get little red balls popping up in your yard. And I'll try to find some, because I don't spray my yard at all. I also get violets. So here we go, these little leaves right here, these are wild violets. And because I don't spray, I also get plenty of dandelions, which a lot of people hate them, but they're actually very important for your pollinators. It's one of the first nectar sources for bees in the spring. So, you know, all these different plants growing in my yard, other than just grass, it's got a couple benefits. One, you know, it's not all grass. So, you know, grass just keeps growing. A lot of these perennials, these weeds in air quotes, stay nice and low. You don't have to cut as often. You don't have to water as often because they're hardier plants. And in early spring, my lawn's beautiful. You got color everywhere between the whites, the violets, and the yellows. And then there's also the downsides. Case in point, when I first moved here, this corner of my property was just covered in crap. There was an old steel drum in here with stuff in it rotting out. There was a bunch of concrete. There's still some garbage in there. But each time I'd work back here, I'd get poison ivy. And I could never really figure it out until eventually I started doing my research. That massive vine going all the way up the tree is poison ivy. So now I know when I go back there I got to be careful. Eventually I'll have to figure out a way to take care of that, but until then I know I need to stay away from that. Got this little tree here. I haven't quite figured out what it is. Looks like some kind of nitrogen fixer. And I've positively identified a black walnut tree. It's about 2 years old in the front of the property that I am going to transplant instead of just, you know, pulling it out as a weed. It's actually a very high dollar plant if you were to try and sell it or buy it. So I haven't figured out what that is yet, so that's why it's still there. So yeah, there's definitely multiple pluses and minuses to knowing what something is. And I like to follow the rule of, unless it's immediately in the way, or, you know, some kind of imminent danger or something you really need to get rid of. If it's just kind of there, wait until you know what it is before you decide to pull it. Alright, that's all I got for this one. Verdant Tinker signing out. Give me some comments or some likes.